What if the reason that YouTube isn't converting has nothing to do with what you're selling? Here's the thing, most people measure success by views and then look at their sales and wonder why nobody bought, because they're missing the middle steps that regularly turn viewers into customers. So in this video, I'm going to show you my value system, the exact funnel I use with my clients to get them sales even before their channel is monetized. To show you how this works, you're going to need to understand car sales, because when you're looking to buy a car, you're probably pretty apprehensive at first. Sure, you've seen the pictures, you know the price, but that's usually not enough for you to hand over your hard-earned money. So what dealerships started doing is getting you in the car for a test drive, letting you get a good idea for the feel of the car so that you can trust that it performs as you would like. And often they send you out with a salesperson who you end up chatting with. And yes, you're learning more about the car, but you're building connection and trust with not only the car, but the person selling it too. Pretty quickly, you go from unsure to confident and even potentially to buying it. And the best part is that this section never feels like you're being sold because you're convincing yourself. And this is exactly what you need to do on YouTube before someone ever buys from you. So what is the system to actually do this? Well, it's all about providing value. And that's actually why I called it my value system. And the first stage is V, which stands for videos, which I know seems like the obvious place to start with a YouTube sales system. So what are people doing wrong? Often you see people who want to sell something on YouTube going and making videos about their product or program or solution, or even worse, they just end up making whatever videos they feel like without having a specific plan. And for a lot of people, this concept doesn't seem wrong. But in order for this system to work, you need to provide value and solve a problem. If you have an information product, for example, then think about the problem that you solve, but make sure to look at the symptoms that someone knows they're having for that problem, because they may not know that they even have a problem, but they'll see the symptoms of it. For example, if you help people with dopamine addictions, a video called How to Solve Your Dopamine Addiction may seem like an obvious next step, but you need to think about what the person will be looking for. Would it be something more about struggling with focus or finding themselves always ending up back on TikTok? These are the symptoms to that problem, and this is what your viewer is aware of. But what I want you to notice is that this step isn't video, it's videos, because people will rarely see one video from you and be ready to buy because they don't know, like, or trust you yet. So instead of pushing for someone to go and buy your product, you need to end each video by pointing them to another video about their next logical problem. This wants to feel like it's the second part of the video that they've just watched. So when someone comes to your channel, they will naturally end up binging your content. This will not only turn one view into many, but it will turn an average one-off viewer into a super fan who trusts you, and then they'll be ready for the next step. And step 2 is action. This is where we get your viewer to make their first interaction with you off YouTube. And for this, we'll use something called a lead magnet, which is really just anything that you give that is of value to someone. That means they will happily give you their email in return. Once you look out for them, lead magnets are everywhere online. Basically, if you look out for the word free, it's probably a lead magnet. So I've explained what they are, but why do you need one? Well, a good lead magnet will be what grows your email list, builds trust, and ultimately sells your product, because people rarely buy from the first interaction with you. But also by someone joining your email list, you can now get in contact with them whenever, without relying on YouTube to show them your video. But more importantly, giving something great to someone with what seems like barely anything in return can be an amazing way to build trust. And that is the goal with the lead magnet. It's to leave them thinking, wow, if this is what they give for free, what must their paid product be like? So what is a good lead magnet? Well, there isn't a solid answer here because it will be completely dependent on your niche and audience. But it needs to be something that appeals to your audience and also leads to your main offer. So let's quickly look at some different styles and formats of lead magnets. And I'm going to try and keep this fairly light, but if you want me to make a specific video on this, then let me know in the comments and I'll dive deeper here. Lead magnet number 1, and probably the most common type, is a PDF, which is by far the easiest to get started with because all you need to do is make a download in something like Canva, and it can be as little as 1 page. The next is a mini course, and this is instantly seen as a higher value, but it does take more time for you to create and also requires a larger time investment from the viewer, meaning it can actually be less effective than the PDF if the subject isn't of much interest. Also, if you're selling a course as your main product, then this can also feel like a great sneak peek into that, which can be great. Then there is a masterclass, which is very similar to the mini course, but it's one video, usually between 30 minutes and 2 hours. This can be great if you're not as experienced in building courses, as all you need to do is plan one longer training video. Then you can have that video on a hidden page that you email the link to the person. Again, this is very similar, but we have webinars, which are like masterclasses, but these are best done live. And instead of the main goal being to teach something, webinars are all about sales. This may not be necessary if your main product is under $200, but if you have a higher ticket product, then these can be amazing. Next, we have challenges, which are usually run over 3 to 7 days, where you give a person a quick task each day that will give them part of the result they're looking for over the challenge period. Again, these can be a great sneak peek into how you teach. Then we have what I think can be one of the best lead magnets, which is templates. If you teach software or a process where you can give a template, these can be amazing for you. I know I've downloaded templates from people at my first interaction with them, because if you show the template in the video, there's next to no trust needed. You can see what you're getting, so it's not like all the others where you're questioning the value that you'll get. Also, if this is something that somebody's going to use regularly, then this can be great for you to brand it and stay front of mind with them. So those are some of the most kind of popular formats of lead magnets. Remember that you don't have to use these specific ones. So long as the audience sees the value in it, it leads to your main product and it's free for you after the initial time you spent making it. Step 3 is optional, but it's where you can make a bit of extra cash while also taking that trust one step further with a low cost upsell. This means that after someone downloads your free resource, you give them the option to go a bit deeper. The easiest way to think about this is fast food. You may have gone just planning to get a burger, but when they ask, do you want to make that a meal? It's an easy yes. This is exactly what an upsell is. It's not replacing what you gave for free, but it's building on it by saying, would you like this as well? Now, one thing that you need to know here is that these need to be low cost. I would usually aim between kind of $7 and $27, but it will really depend on what you're giving and the value someone sees in it, because these need to feel like the absolute obvious choice. But also make sure that when you're pitching this, you're letting the person know that this is taking their learning a step further and not replacing the lead magnet you just gave. You see this done badly where you download a lead magnet and then you're told that won't help you, you really need this instead. And this can kill trust instantly because there's no way of us knowing that you won't do that again for something more expensive. So your upsell should add new or deeper value, not undermine the lead magnet. A simple way to do this is to look at your lead magnet and ask what would naturally come next for someone who found this useful. That way you're helping them progress and not just pushing a sale. Step 4 is updates, and this is where we email the person. This is much simpler than it sounds, and I'll break it into 2 types of emails. We have thank you emails and emails that help. First of all, you want to send a thank you email, which immediately thanks them for taking action, gives access to the lead magnet or the link to get it again, and lets them know about your main product or the upsell. This wants to feel relaxed with the main product, just being as little as kind of a PS at the bottom saying, hey, just so you know, I have this product which I believe can help you. And that's all it needs to be. Next, you want emails that help the person. Think of these as kind of check-in emails connected to the lead magnet. Like, for example, saying, hey, how are you getting on with the lead magnet? These also want to build on their understanding. So if you can give them links to your videos in this email, then that can be a great way to build even more trust with that person. And that is the main goal of these. I would send them one maybe every other day for the first 10, but this is going to be largely based on how long it takes them to use the lead magnet you gave them. These emails also want to include that PS that tells them about how much your product can help them. This will mean that you come across as a teacher and don't sound super salesy, but also allows you to promote to them. And these should be automated, so they run without you having to think about it. I use Kajabi for this, and I'll leave an affiliate link below, which also kind of tells you more about how I build these funnels. With that in place, we're ready for the final step of the value system, which is exchange. And this is simply where a purchase can happen. This isn't from like a hard sell from you. It's just the natural next step for someone who wants more support or a faster result. Now, this doesn't mean that for every person who watches your video, they'll go through the whole system. This is a funnel, meaning each stage of this will have a conversion rate. So with all of these, we can measure over time and work on each step to see how we can improve it. So in summary, we have the 5 points of our value system, which are videos, action, low cost offer, updates, and exchange. But as I mentioned before, not everybody's going to be willing to download your lead magnet from the first video. So check out this video where I show you the exact workflow I use to build know, like, and trust, and ultimately get them closer to becoming a customer.